Welcome to the Select Board meeting for Tuesday, June 24th. Call to order at 5:47 p.m. First item, business review interview questions for the Senior Services Director position. Thank you for sending over our rambling from last night, Brian.
I hope I captured it all.
I think it got close, if not all the way there. Thoughts?
I
changes?
believe it captured the essence of what we were trying to formulate last night. I have no comments or suggested changes.
I don't have any suggested changes. I was just going to comment. You had questioned about a couple of them being, two of them being similar.
Right.
And I think it's fine. There was enough in there that makes that it makes sense the way it is.
Okay.
I'm going to read the last few with a fresh set of eyes here.
The only thing on 8 was we talked a little bit about impact as well. I don't know where we landed, so maybe that's where we landed from last night. I know it was only a few hours ago, but feels like it's been a bit longer.
I think it still is open-ended enough to lend it to get there.
Okay, I'm good. If you are. All right, good as is.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You
Thank you.
You have nothing else on the agenda, correct?
I am looking for it because I know I downloaded it and I'm not finding it, so I'm downloading it again. I don't think I did.
That was it.
Okay.
Recess until we.
Yeah, we can recess
So
for
we
10
can
and
get
start
our
at 6.
printing and do
Yeah.
all that stuff. And
So I'll move we recess at 5:50 until 6 p.m.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll see you in 10 minutes. welcome back. It's 6 o'clock. We'll resume the select board meeting. Two items that we didn't cover. One is, are we taking questions during the first one from the public? If we take them on the first one, we won't take them on the second. We'll just also ask those questions as we've done similarly in the past. So it's a question of, are we accepting any from the public or not?
I wasn't anticipating it.
Okay. Well, I just want to set the stage if we are or not. So,
No, Scott said I wasn't anticipating taking it.
okay. Just for clarity, we won't be taking any questions from the public during or regarding the interviewees during the interview portions. And then order of questions. Just want to go,
Round robin?
sure. Who's starting?
I'll
Okay.
start.
All right, then that's out of the way.
It'll be left to right for the candidate.
This is true. All right, with that, we'll start our first interview. Dulcie, welcome. Come on up.
Thank you for having me.
Good evening and welcome. First question, which if you need to refer to them, they are in front of you, but if you would please describe your professional background and how it has prepared you for the role of Director of Senior Services, and discuss why you are interested in this specific senior center.
Sure. My background includes currently, right now, I'm the activities coordinator here at the Senior Center. And I work every day building relationships within the community to all who enter. I manage the daily operations and the transportation, coordination, event planning. Before this, I worked in various roles focused on safety, security, community engagement. I was drawn to this position because I see firsthand every day how impactful the center has been to the community and surrounding towns.
Just as a caveat, if we're not watching, we're making
No
sure we
worries.
take down our notes. We're not ignoring you. We just have to make sure we capture it during the moment.
So I saw out of the corner of my eye you were looking. I have no follow-up
That was going to
question.
be my question. I was letting you finish writing. I was going to say, any
Yeah.
follow-up on that?
Good.
Okay, thank you. Second question, what are your top 3 priorities if you were to receive the position for the first year?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been in the activities coordinator position, which has allowed me kind of some, I wouldn't say insider information, but working with the community, I have seen firsthand things that we would possibly like to have here. I think the number one priority, I would work on developing a 3 to 5 day a week nutrition lunch program. It's been something that's been talked about since I started here. We've tried to work with LifePath. Unfortunately, they've had some staffing issues, but I see, getting back to that. Number 2, I would conduct a community needs assessment to evaluate the current programming that we have now and hopefully identify any gaps or opportunities for expanding services. I feel that reaching out and seeing what our needs are and basing and using what I would get back as feedback to be one of my top priorities to see what we actually need. And third, I would continue the current programming we have right now. Due to this transition and hiring of a new director, some of the things that we've been doing have been paused due to the transition. I know from feedback with the members that come here, they're really looking forward to the holiday bazaar coming back. We do special lunches, and again, everything's kind of been paused right now by the current director just to not overwhelm the new person coming in.
Follow-ups on that?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
All set.
All right. Thank you.
So you talked about programming. How will you increase the participation in the senior programs, especially from individuals who may be isolated or underserved?
That's a good question. I think as far as increasing participation, we do a really good job at outreach here. We use various platforms to engage with our community members in surrounding towns. I think I would lean into what we already have in place. I know we email our monthly newsletter right now. We have the Around Town, which is, I know, just for residents, but we also work with the Recorder, and right now we use Facebook, but I think we could expand to, we currently just use Facebook as our senior center, but there's town groups that I think we could reach out to as well. And I think I would partner with local organizations, such as like the library or school, to cross-promote events.
Thank you.
Good, sir. Okay. Back to me again. What draws you to working in a small town setting like ours, and how do you think your background fits with our community's needs?
Well, I'm a resident here, and it's a small town, and I feel that I value a sense of community, and living and working in a small town, it's taught me to build strong relationships with the people, and I can provide more of a personalized response to their needs, working one-on-one with them. And again, my background, I feel, having worked in various roles with community engagement, I think that really helps.
Thank you.
Good. Next one is, how would you handle a situation where community members or stakeholders disagree with a decision you've made regarding programming or policies?
I think I would have an open communication with them. I find it's important to gain different perspectives, and they may help me see something I was missing in creating the policy or program. I feel like also, if I made a decision, it would be done with care, and I would have researched information regarding the policy and made sure I was in line with current laws. And I would hope by discussing the situation, maybe we could come to a better understanding. Not saying that it would change the policy or programming, but again, it may help them to see where I'm coming from, and or if it's something that maybe I didn't see, maybe it would change my thoughts.
Good.
Good.
All right. Thank you. How do you view the issue of food insecurity within the community, and how would you use the resources of the Senior and Community Center to address it?
Well, I'm aware that we do have food insecurity here in Erving, and working with the library and the Friends of the Library, we've funded after-school snacks for the students. Currently, at the center here, we work with the food bank to provide brown bag to eligible seniors with farmers market coupons. And we work with Triad and local supermarkets to provide food here for the seniors. I anticipate that with the completion of the housing project, that could also be something that could increase here. But I think expanding partnerships with the regional agencies that we already have in place would be my goal.
I do have one follow-up. With the current resources that are provided in the different avenues that you've mentioned, do you think we, as a community, are successfully meeting and addressing those food insecurities, or do you think more needs to be done?
I definitely feel we're addressing them. I'm not sure if I feel we're aware of them, and we're taking the resources that we have and trying to get it to the people that need it. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Good.
Ready? Okay, so your last answer kind of segued into the next question.
Happens like that.
Knowing that our Senior and Community Center is an inclusive and welcoming environment to a diverse population of older adults. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
You're thinking of not.
I was thinking of the next
Next
question.
one.
Okay. I recant my segue, and we'll start
I
again.
thought it was, and then I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
So, knowing that our Senior and Community Center is an inclusive and welcoming environment to a diverse population of older adults, how would you market services and programs to them?
I think I kind of touched on this before. Right now, we use various platforms. I think we do a pretty good job at reaching different members of our community and outside our community. I think, again, I would lean on partnerships with local organizations, the library, the school, cross-promote events that way. I would also be open to hosting an open house or theme-based community days here, where I can get to maybe speak with people and see where we can meet them with what they need, with what works for them.
A follow-up to that, when you think of marketing the services and programs of the Senior Center and the population that you're looking to reach out to, do you see that as like Erving, greater than Erving? Like how broad does that,
Yeah,
do you envision that?
pretty broad. Currently, we have Seniors travel from Northfield, Orange, Athol, as far as Westminster. We have seniors coming in from all over the place. So I feel like our marketing is as wide as we can make it. We're welcoming here, and we're open to anyone who wants to be here. So we're happy to have them.
Thank you. Westminster, huh?
No.
That's a draw.
That's proud. Yeah.
Good.
I'm good, thank you.
The segue from the one before. How would you incorporate the future services that will be needed when the Care Drive Senior Housing Development is completed, with the understanding that some of the services may need to be offered outside of the Senior Community Center or at a different site?
Yeah, I anticipate growth in our services here in programs, but I'm not opposed to working on site within the development, hosting wellness programs, and also we're walkable. We have a FRTA van transportation which would gladly pick up our neighbors. So yeah, I see a growth in our services here.
Any specific needs that you think will change or would be impacted significantly by it? Any specific item?
Right now, some of our exercise classes are at full capacity for the building. So I anticipate possibly needing more space, but in conjunction with the library, maybe we could hold, or even, I know there's a community room there as well. Maybe having multiple programs going on at the same time, or even Zoom. I could see that happening as well.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, did you say Zoom?
Like some of the programs we could offer would be if an instructor was here teaching exercise, we could set it up on a television or something in their community room, and they could also participate.
Okay. Sorry, I just want.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you said, but I just wanted to make sure I understood.
You good?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking of Peloton commercial.
Right. With your experience in writing and managing grants, how do you envision incorporating that knowledge into supporting the services of the department?
I know a lot of our programs, services are funded by grants. I'm new at grant writing. I've attended several classes recently and have written my first grant that I just completed and have just submitted in writing for another one. I feel it's really important. It funds a lot of our programs. We just had raised garden beds put in through a grant. A program that we held between the senior center and the elementary school was funded by a grant. I think it's really important, and I hope that answered your question.
There's a little follow-up, and you'll see it in there, but I'm gonna play around with it a little bit, knowing what you had just said, that you've written one, or
Yes.
submitted one, and have written your second and about to submit it. So I was gonna say one that you have not been awarded, but you're batting 1,000 right now. You've written one and got awarded the one. So it's not verbatim the way it's written, but hypothetically, how do you feel you could use the not getting awarded a grant, and what would you glean from that? How would you improve that process? What are the things you would do
I would definitely look for feedback. Was it something in my writing? Was it something that just didn't meet the needs of the department that was sponsoring the grant? I feel like there's always room for improvement with writing and speaking. And I think that I would, learn from whatever I could.
I'm going to follow up and sort of reword the question. In this grant that you were successful at acquiring, what do you believe were the points that allowed you to be successful in that formation?
I think focusing on meeting the required needs for the grant, those being senior-oriented, something that everyone could attend, being in a public space where we have assistive devices. I think really just reading the grant and seeing what they were looking for, and promoting my idea or the idea of the grant to meet those needs. I think that's what was successful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
No other questions, sir?
You got the last one?
Is that back to me?
It is back to you.
It's back to you.
Back to
to me?
me.
I mean, technically, it doesn't matter. I'll ask it.
Well, you're the chair. You can decide.
Okay, I'll take that. I knew there was a penalty for this seat. No, I'm kidding. So last question is, what do you have, if anything, for questions for us?
The only question I have right now is what support systems are in place for the director regarding training, professional development, or collaboration with other town departments?
Would you repeat that for me?
Yeah. What support systems
Mhm.
are in place for the director regarding training, professional development, or collaboration with other town departments?
Good question. So I'll start, and you guys can fill in, and we might lean on Brian as well. From a training standpoint, there are a lot of resources that we have through our insurance providers, through a variety of state or quasi-state agencies that support the town and municipalities throughout the Commonwealth. And a lot of that training is available online, in person. Some of it is, a lot of it is at no cost, others that are at cost, and we often make those available to all department heads. We probably share more than people have time to take, but we can definitely help align what trainings that would be of interest to a director with what offerings are out there and the cycles that they come in on.
Thank you.
Similar professional development, some of that overlaps, the lines blur there. Some of what those are workshops or trainings around professional development. And then collaboration with other departments. I think that's an area we could probably do more of and do more work with fostering or helping support. at the same time, there is some in place. There are some that already do work together. There are some collaborations that we've had over the years, but they definitely, I wouldn't say there's, I mean, we have things like the quarterly safety meetings with all department heads and different structured gatherings where we're bringing all the departments together to do things. Obviously, the whole budget season processes, there's a lot of support and collaboration there, depending on experience level or, comfort level with the systems we're using. So there's a lot of cross collaboration there between departments, but I think it's an area where we have other opportunities. I'm probably missing some that we do regularly, but I do think it is an area that we may not have as strong a structure as in the other two. What would you two have anything to add or want to add?
Well,
Go
Scott,
ahead.
what I'll say, I'm going to answer this from two angles. One is my personal experience as a former town employee, and knowing that culturally and publicly the town has stated we look to hire and retain the best and most professional staff. I know that when I was employed here, there were certain requirements in professional development, certainly a far different type of employment than what this job entails, but there were required professional development courses to take, but there was advanced training that, based on budget considerations and other global needs of the department or the town, if an employee expressed interest in bettering themselves and the town could support it, it did. Now, the second way I'll answer that is for the last 2 years, sitting on this board, I've been the liaison for the Senior Community Center, and I have not taken an active approach to that interaction, but I have made myself available for any questions, any requests, any guidance.
Thank you.
And either in communication with Brian, or if it's an issue to bring back to a meeting with my colleagues, we would discuss those. I would say that what I will say is if I continue as liaison, no question or request for dialogue or anything would go unanswered.
Thank you.
So I was just, I couldn't come up with the acronym, so I actually had to look it up. The Mass Councils on Aging, I know we have membership from them, MCOA, and within that there is just a full list of various state agencies, community partnerships. There are all throughout the state. So it's, to my knowledge, it is not something that we have like a well thought out plan of make sure you're doing, partnering with these state agencies or becoming a member of these, programs, but there are certain ones that are really pointed for this position and for this role. I think we sat through a very large meeting with all sorts of stakeholders when it came to the development that's happening right behind us. You met people from the Department of Elder Affairs, and so there's just a lot of agencies out there that already do that work. That rubbing elbows with some of those does help when you're looking to advocate for, within your role and within your community. So I think I would say the town could do a better job at maybe formalizing sort of the approach of here's a list of things in your first, 30, 60, 90 days, first year, making these connections, finding out how they can assist, all of those. I don't think it's formalized, but it's there. It's just informal at the moment.
Thank you.
I'm sure they would all be more than willing to hear the feedback about how that could be formalized.
And I would say that generally, I think you probably heard it in the sentiment, but the town's supportive of it, right? So if there's a department head or any employee who's interested in furthering their skills, training, having professional development, or has interest in collaborating and ideas about how to do that. And, obviously at the end of the day, almost across the board, we're looking to do that for the benefit of our citizens. And we're supportive of it and in in whatever way we're able to be. So I think we encourage it.
Thank you.
Brian, I know you're not on mic, but anything significant that we missed? If you're
list running in my head, and by the time all three spoke, we got to it.
all right, we covered the key answers then. Anything else?
That is all. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else for Dulcie?
No, just
I do not.
appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll wait to deliberate, obviously, until after the next interview. Anything of note or anything that needs to be handled before we?
No, I was just going to take some time and just
Yeah.
clean up my notes a little bit.
Okay.
and Our next one starts at 7.
I believe we had it tentative for 7. Yeah. So do we
Okay.
want to? What are you guys thinking? You want to recess until then, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any business that we need to
Yeah.
address that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Then move that we'll recess until 7 p.m. for the next interview.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. See you at 7. for Director of Senior Services for Erving. Tracy, welcome. Come on up.
Thank you for having me.
So we'll take turns asking questions. There's a copy of the questions in front of you there to reference.
Okay.
And we'll close with an opportunity for any questions you have for us.
I'm sorry?
We'll close with an opportunity for any questions that you might have for us.
Okay.
You want to kick us off?
Sure. So this isn't one of the formal questions, but if I may, because I have a last name that people sometimes struggle with.
Thank you.
Is it Gaudet or Gaudet?
Gaudet.
Okay, thank you.
Not that French.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, the formal first question is, if you would, please describe your professional background and how it has prepared you for the role of Director of Senior Services, and discuss why you were interested in this specific senior center.
Back in 2008, which is a long time ago, the town of Orange applied for a grant together with LifePath for an outreach worker. At that time, I was looking to change my career a little bit, and I applied for the job. And I interviewed, and I got it, and it was for an outreach worker in the town of Orange. At that time, I didn't have an office space. They pretty much wanted me out into the community to, go to homes, talk to people, visit with churches, and that's what I did. And then they had to make a space for me because all these people were coming in to get services. So the services that they asked me to talk about in the community were public benefits, health insurance, just basic needs of people. What are they looking for? And there hadn't been an outreach worker for a very, very long time. So that's what I did, and the program just grew and grew and grew, and I was sitting on the board for the Council on Aging, and the director asked me if I would like to step into the director role. And of course, I was ready to go. I wanted a little bit more. So I've been there now in the director role in Orange for 10 years. And we've had some challenges, some ups and downs, but for the most part, it's a job that I absolutely love. I think it's in my blood, if that's possible. I love helping people. It's the greatest paycheck you can ever get, is seeing someone come in and a little bit of a scared situation and help them to find the way to make it better. And most times, just talking to them, they figure it out themselves. And it's really wonderful to see them kind of brighten up when they leave. So that's how I got to the director role. And I've always loved Erving. Erving is very beautiful. Actually thought about moving here a few times, and it just didn't happen for me at the time. So I know there's some of our seniors who come here too, and they talk very highly about your center. So that was when there was this job that had come up, they were like, you should go. So here I am.
Thank you.
All set?
I'm all set, thank you.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next question. What are your top 3 priorities for a first year in the role as director, if you were to get it?
First and foremost, I think it's super important to get to know the people, and get to know what you live in a different town than we do. And Springfield is different from us. And so every area is a little bit different, and the people are different. So for me, it would be to make connections, and and try to meet those needs for folks. I don't know what your general age is of your seniors out here. In Orange, they're much older. So it really also depends on, you know, their age. Are they still working? Do they want to retire? You know, have I been retired for a while and I just am trying to find my place, you know? So I want to get to know them a little bit. I don't want to come in and like swirl and say I'm going to fix this and I'm going to clean that and I'm going to reorganize that. I just really want to take my time and, you know, hear what people have to say, hear what people are looking for or need.
Sorry for the awkward silence while we're making our
That's
notes.
okay. That's okay.
Gotta keep our notes.
You're just making me very nervous. That's
If we
That
don't
is
write
not
it
the
down.
intent of it.
I was going to say, if I don't write something down by the time I get to the end, I will forget what you have said. So I have to write it down.
that's okay.
I'll wait till you're all ready.
You good?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
The next question is, how will you increase participation in senior programs, especially from individuals who may be isolated or underserved?
Well, I know the town clerk keeps, every town clerk keeps a list of the seniors that are in the community. And first of all, I'd like to, you know, maybe take a look at sending out, I don't know how many seniors you have in your town. I should have looked and I'm very sorry. But I'd like to send out a letter just introducing myself and, you know, have a meet and greet. Those who are isolated, if you talk to people that are around you, they'll normally tell you, you know, so-and-so could really use some help. And I'd be very happy to make a call and introduce myself and invite them here personally and, you know, tell them some of the things that we do. Maybe come to a select board meeting, and if I had 5 minutes to talk, and I can talk, just to invite them here. You know, it's hard because the isolated folks have no social media generally. Maybe reach out to some younger people too who might have parents. You know, that's what I'm doing right now, is reaching out to younger people in our area, focusing our newsletters on them so that they can say, hey mom, you know, you should go to art class. So those are a couple of the ways, but I think we all learn as we go along, you know, what's best.
Any follow-up? You good?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm good. So, next question is, what draws you to working in a small town setting like ours, and how do you think your background fits with our community needs?
Working in a small community, you get to forge relationships with people, and get to know them and their families, and I think that's important. I think if I could never work in a place like Springfield because it's just too big. I would like to just have that small community feel, which is where I work now, and be able to grow that a little bit. And I think getting to know people's families too is important, because they can be vital in, you know, coming to talk to us about, you know, my mom really could use this. It helps us to get to know them a little bit better, or a lot better. And I think because I came from a small community, it's a wonderful feeling to be able to meet each other in the grocery store and say, hey, how are you doing? You know, how come you weren't at the senior center today?
One follow-up question, if you're ready, sir.
Please.
So, you hit on a theme of establishing relationships and utilizing family as a bridge to connect with the elders.
Yes.
My question is, what if that family support isn't local or present or available to that person who resides in our community? What resources would you utilize or experience would you tap into to connect with them?
How would I reach them? How
Right.
would I?
So, no, and I appreciate the answer and the formulation of utilizing those family connections.
Mhm.
What I'm wondering is, what would your strategy be for our community members who don't have that family network of support for them?
Well, connecting on a continual basis with them, calling them myself or maybe someone on the staff. Maybe, I don't know what you have for staff, if you have a happy helper or something. Sometimes we do. My admin will reach out and just check on somebody. But even forging a relationship with someone over the phone is very important, because that gives that person somebody that they can trust and that they can call if they need someone. So if the family's not involved, then we should be involved with them. And also making referrals to perhaps LifePath or some other social agency where they can get, maybe we can connect them with some help that would help that person that we're trying to connect to.
Okay, thank you.
Other follow-up?
I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We good?
I'm good, yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well, I will let you finish. No,
Yeah.
I interrupt while you were writing. How would you handle a situation with a community member or a stakeholder when they disagree with a decision you've made regarding programming or policy?
Well, I'd want to sit down and hear why. Maybe they know the ramifications of my disagreement, but I'd also hope that they would be able to listen to myself as well. And if we can't come to an agreement about that, then, we have to go higher up in the town. I have to say I've never had no disagreement, so not that I know of. So I think other people should be involved and listen, and, someone from the select board or the town administrator who might have some insight as to, Tracy, you're incorrect, and redirect me, and I'm happy with that.
Any follow-up?
Also, thank
Okay.
you.
Go
How do you view the issue of food insecurity within the community, and how would you use the resources of the Senior and Community Center to address it?
I view the food insecurity issue very seriously. At this point, the price of food is somewhat unreachable for some people. There are many organizations that can help. Which I'm sure you're all aware of already, but you know, this is hard. How would I use the resources of the Senior and Community Center to address it? Invite different programs to come and speak. Maybe a representative from the SNAP program, maybe a representative from the food bank or the food pantry, a list of resources that are in our community or around our community. I know some people don't realize that most food pantries you can access in different towns, but then there are some people that say, no, you can't go. You can. And we could develop some type of list that people could come and pick up, or on our website, or something like that.
Thank you.
Good.
I'm good. Thank you.
So, next question. Knowing that our Senior and Community Center is an inclusive and welcoming environment to a diverse population of older adults, how would you market services and programming to them?
There are so many ways to get that information out. I'm a big fan of Zoom. I love doing a little Zoom. We have put little videos on our site. I know that not everybody has internet, so to put the word out there, how would I market it? Newspaper, radio. I know one of the radio stations in Greenfield does a lot of announcing for senior centers. I would definitely take advantage of that. Community TV, I'm not sure if you have a community TV bulletin board, but putting something like that up on would be wonderful. And I know different towns will also let people advertise as well. So, and again, reaching out to families and, mailings, for a specified age group, or, we could do something on one side of the town this 6 months, maybe something on the other side of the town, and kind of feel it out. Just if we do nothing, we get nothing. So even trying it, if you feel like you fail, you've not failed. You reach at least a handful of people. So, and people talk. So, talking about it. Churches. I'm going to think of something later tonight that I should have said. I'll email it to Brian.
As a follow-up to that, when you envision doing that outreach and marketing, do you how broadly do you see that how broadly do you distribute that? Or,
As far as like your
Uh,
town,
yeah, and maybe I should add that, like Erving, greater community, broader, like how broadly would you demographic or geographically look at dispersing it?
not too far. The towns that I know participate in some activities here are Orange, Athol. I'm not sure about this part of the county when you're heading more to the west. I'm not sure who else participates here, but maybe a couple of the surrounding towns, and just give it some time and feel it out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Other follow-up?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. How will you incorporate future services that will be needed when the Care Drive senior housing development is completed, with the understanding that some of those services may need to be offered outside of the center itself?
I mean, definitely do. I would love to definitely do outreach at those centers. I've always believed that the Council on Aging center is not always in one place. We can move around. I've done that a lot in Orange with the adult community centers. We have 3, and we often visit them in their day room. We'll set up programming or some fun activity, and bring giveaways, encouraging them to come to our center. And that's worked really well for one of the adult communities. The other ones need a little more encouraging, a little more work. But yeah, we try to visit them often and distribute our newsletters, and maybe tailor something to a different site, because some of them are older folks who live in one area, and the other ones live with they're younger seniors. So I think we would do that. Sounds like a great project, actually.
We're excited.
I bet
It's
you
a long
are.
time coming, but we're excited.
I bet.
It's hopefully coming to fruition here soon.
All set?
You? Good? Yep.
All right.
Actually,
That's why we asked.
just thank you. Reflecting back to the last set of questions. Just as a follow-up, is there any specific increased demand or impact that you would anticipate with having senior housing on the center services once it's in place?
Maybe staff, might need a little extra help. In a successful world. That's all I can think of at the moment. If I had more time to think about the question, I might
Sure.
have other suggestions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So with your experience in writing and managing grants, how do you envision incorporating that knowledge into supporting the services of the department?
I would like to be able to apply for as many grants as I can, and even if it means we don't have it at this time, maybe applying for the grant could be a creation of something else. It could be an addition to some of the activities. So I don't want to limit it just to what are we doing now. I have to admit, I don't have a lot of experience in writing grants. I've actually written one in this past, I would say about a month and a half ago, and we celebrated. We did get the grant for our van. We own our own van through a CDBG grant with a gift that was left to the Orange Senior Center maybe 8-9 years ago. A woman who came into the center she was with a group of friends. She never used our services, but she left us $20,000 because she loved what we did. She loved that we were there helping her family, her friend's family. Her name is Thelma, and I'll never forget her. It was the worst and the best day of my life in my job. I had just had a really rough day, and if you don't mind me telling the story, I really brag about her because I think she's just so special. She has since passed, but I had the worst day, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? This is so hard. And I looked over, and I see a letter from an attorney, and I went, great, now I'm getting sued, great. And I said, it's Friday. Open it up so you'll have 2 days to cry before you come back to work. And I opened it up, and I could not believe it, that it was an estate, it was a will. And I'm like, why is she sending this to me? Why is this lawyer sending this to me? And I'm flipping through it, and there it was, $20,000 for the senior center. And I just was beyond the moon. And I put the money away, and there was some people who I know are watching tonight who said to me, so you need to spend that, And I'm not a spender. I'm very careful about what money I spend. I wanted something tangible. I wanted something to remember her by. And so when one of our wonderful community development people asked me what one of my wishes were, I said to have a van of our own that we can do whatever we want with. If we want to go to a trip to the Bridge of Flowers on Saturday, we're taking the van. And he wrote the grant, and he was a very successful writer, got the grant, and here we are. So, and it was a matching grant, so it just kind of all fell into place, and it's such a beautiful story, and it just warms my heart. It'll be one of my favorite memories forever and ever. And I do drive it.
I'm going to follow up on that one.
Yep,
There's
please.
just a second part, and I think you actually answered it in a way that this makes sense, because you had mentioned that you were part of writing one grant. And you haven't had the experience. I had a part of this question that was written, how have you handled being denied on a grant, but you haven't been there yet. So hypothetically, what could you learn? How would you learn from that experience if you were to write one that you didn't get approved? And it's a hypothetical. We haven't been there, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Sure. Well, like an employer, if you don't get a job, I think it's okay to call them and say, thank you for taking the time with me, and can you tell me what I could have done better or what I could have improved on? None of us are perfect, and none of us are going to be successful at getting this job or that job or this van or that grant. So we just got our first grant for our van from the Massachusetts Council on Aging for $25,000. So we will put that towards enhancing some of our van fun outings. So we are very appreciative, and thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you for sharing. Did I follow as you were recounting that there was that you had some help from a grant writer? Is that what
Yes,
you
our
said?
community development
Okay.
person.
Got it.
He He wrote 3 grants for our Council on Aging. We're just a small council, trying to grow like a lot of other communities.
So I'm going to reframe the question that Scott asked you, because again, we had a bit of a follow-up with what were the lessons learned if you didn't get a grant, and I appreciate the answer there. Given again, that you're batting 1,000, you're 1 for 1. Aside from utilizing the resource of your community development coordinator to write the grant, is there anything else that, in your experience through that process, that you could point to that said, this is why we were successful in getting the grant?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because I had never written one before, and I just let it come from my heart, like my interview here. I know some of my stories and stuff may be inappropriate. I think some of them have been helpful, but the grant, I guess it's because I've been in this role for so long that I'm aware of what really is need to be told to a grantee or a grantor. And I have taken a few classes at the Mount on grant writing, so I was a little bit familiar with what exactly they're looking for. I'd love to do more. I'd love to take more. I can't let this go to my head and say, hey, I can do this and I can do, because I know I can't. I'm a realist. So having a little more education around or classes involving grant writing would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Other follow-up on that? You good? Okay.
Thank you.
And to the last question, which is, do you have any questions for us?
Actually, I think you answered a few already for me. Does the senior center, community center kitchen have the ability to do like a meal program, like on maybe a couple day a week basis? How does the kitchen work with the 2 different departments? Is the okay, let's say, is
Can't
the
you clarify
community
that?
center different from the senior center, or is it just named?
It's the
I'll take this.
okay, go for it.
Scott?
That's a
This
great
was-
question.
It's a great one that I will absolutely answer that one for you.
Okay, so I'm
Um,
not crazy, right?
No, you are not. Since its inception, there has been a struggle to enhance the use of the community center portion of the building, of the services we offer. It is, and that's not to say for lack of any programming. We have a plethora of programming that is happening here. It sometimes is a constraint on staff availability, hours of operation, financial. There's a host of reasons why it hasn't blown up to be a much larger community setting than it could be. I think there's potential there. So while it's still in the name, that name came about when it was built, when there was a lot of pushback on, we're not going to put a lot of money into one building that has a very finite focus. We want a broader focus. And so we want it to be a senior and community center. It has been difficult to see that second half come to fruition to its totality. There is partnerships that the outgoing director has made with area or town departments and other agencies, and we do things here, but it needs some attention. So to answer that question of how they differ, one exists and one doesn't. So that's how they differ. That's the long and short of it. as far as the kitchen, it has the capacity. It's a very great kitchen with all sorts of physical capacity. It's about timing. It's about staff. It's about so right now they were partnering, and I'm not sure. I don't believe we are beyond LifePath and offering. Not even doing that anymore. It's been abandoned shortly. For interim, we're not even offering it. So. It's there. The resources are there. It's a matter of figuring out the rest of the resources needed to get it up and running and utilize it. The infrastructure, I should say, is there. Maybe not the resources. The infrastructure is built. It's ready. It's underutilized. So I think that answers what you were talking about.
It does. I ask because where we were housed before, when I first took over being director at the Orange Armory, there was an old kitchen in there. And a bunch of us got together and decided we were going to do a deep cleaning and we were going to resurrect it. And it blew up. We had 2 meals each week. They wanted more. We were exhausted. And we also encouraged the friends to use it as fundraisers. So we would have a breakfast every Saturday morning, and not just for seniors, but for the community. Come have breakfast. And it was unbelievable. The Friends group just flourished, made a lot of money, and we were, our COA was constantly in the kitchen. We had a host of volunteers that were just amazing people. And what a fun time, too. We didn't just work together, we had fun together, and we were friends together. So we served 40 to 50 meals 2 times a week. And that's been a dream of mine when we moved from the Armory to the church, when the building started to deteriorate. We lost our meal program, and the town took a little bit of a hit in the senior center end of it. They really missed the camaraderie, seeing their friends, and we miss that as well. We talk about it all the time, and we're forever showing each other pictures. Remember this? Remember this? We did a lot of holiday meals, and that seemed to bring a lot of people together. For like Easter meals, we would invite family, not just, seniors. So that's why I'm asking if that could be a possibility or something to talk about.
The only thing I would add to what Scott said was that there was a time in the decade or so this building's been here that we did have a meal or 2 a week, so it has been done, probably to a similar scale. I think it was around 30 to 40 people.
You know how wonderful that feels.
So yeah, and it's something that has been sorely missed, I'm sure. And again, the resources, not the physical assets to do it, are the challenge. So the physical equipment is here and very capable. Other questions?
Nope, I think you answered them all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for partaking and putting your name forward.
Thank you for the opportunity to sit here with you and talk about your center, and thank you for letting me talk about our center.
Thanks for sharing.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. I'll give you guys a few minutes to finalize everything, and then we can start deliberating from there. Brian, would you send me a copy of the profile again that went out?
Yes, please.
Did you get it? Did it come through? Yeah. No. Brian, did you send it? Did it go out?
Just
It
did.
just
Oh,
came
never
through.
mind. Just took a moment.
Just a
I
little
wasn't being
lag.
patient enough. Thank you. No, it's not you.
Snap to attention on that one.
I know I sent it. It's all good, sir.
Better reach out to IT.
Yeah, it happens. That's why I had to ask. Did it, or is it us? I know, exciting times for the audience here and viewing,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Riveting stuff, watching us scribble on paper.
who's going to break the silence first? No, not to rush either of you if you want more time to kind of go everything over. Otherwise, I don't know if one of you
I think
wants
you
to
can
start.
start chatting and I'll keep writing. I'm listening.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish before we do. I don't want to interrupt your thoughts.
Thank you for indulging me.
No problem at all. Brian, did you get my message? Unrelated to this. I forwarded you the information. I don't think we need to do. I think they've got it under control, but you should be aware. I texted you. I forwarded you the text about it. Thanks. Okay. You're welcome, and sorry for that sidebar there. About other town stuff. Who would like to start, or how would you like to start?
Well,
That's
I
up to
will
you.
start by saying we have a problem that I think a lot of people in our position would like to have. We have two, in my opinion, closely matched candidates. There were some strengths and some weaknesses on both. In terms of, and you have funny stories, I'm going to talk about Dr. Lou Zivic, who was one of my college professors, who talked, it was a class on marketing, and he talked about there's quantitative data that will get you to a certain place for decision making, but when the quantitative data between choice A and choice B are locked in, you have to look at the qualitative, which is where I find myself, because our quantitative data is the numeric scores associated with the questions, and I'm closely matched. So qualitative, there were a few things that stuck out to me that would nudge one candidate slightly ahead, but and I'm not fully convinced, so as to which way I'd like to go right now.
I'm going to jump right into the meat and the potatoes of some of it. Everything you said, I agree with. It's tough when you have two candidates, and sorry that we're speaking about you in the third person, but I have to talk to my colleagues here about the stuff that we're working on.
This is when it becomes the awkward for us, but
Yeah, that's
it is
okay.
the job.
Yeah, that's fine. Both candidates show qualities and experiences that, in various points throughout the interview, that highlights their capacity and their ability to do the job in various aspects. Some of those aligned, some of them did not, which ultimately at the end you look at it and you're like, in the totality, they're both really good candidates for differing reasons, some for the same reasons. And I just wanted to highlight a few things that I saw that sort of addresses the qualitative piece of it that leads me to where I think I'm going. Just for the full description of it, some of the positives on Dulce's is the current experience hands-on with the patrons here, understanding. So has an advantage in that role that she's here now, knows them, doesn't have to learn them, doesn't have to figure out the programming that we're currently offering. It's already part of the day-to-day. So that's a leg up. That's an experience there. Conversely, Tracy has very lengthy experience as a director and understanding the administrative piece and how to do that, and how to the day-to-day things that can bog you down with the administrative piece of making sure that happens, and doesn't have to learn those pieces of the puzzle. So they both have qualities that bring their experiences that would lend to hitting the ground running for various aspects of it. I really liked Dulce's aggressive, very aggressive and well-articulated first year hit the ground running kind of plan. The 3 to 5 days of bringing back the meals is very aggressive, and I appreciated that. I'm not sure it's going to be a 1-year plan to get that up and running, but I appreciated the aggressiveness on it. I enjoyed the the statement about the full assessment of the current, so always doing the self-evaluation about what we're doing, what we're not doing, maintaining maintaining current programming. And I really appreciated the caveat that in your mind, a currently running program is a program that we should be offering, but that was paused. And I just appreciated that articulation on there. And Tracy has a really good idea about the engaging the younger generation. I was intrigued by that, about like thinking outside the box of like, if you can't get to the parents because they don't want to take the phone call or listen, get to the kids and let the kids get to the parents. I was like, dang, why didn't I think of that? It's just one of those things. So like, as I go down the list, they both had really good ideas, really good thoughts. The idea that Tracy had about the answer, about focusing on the small town, the forging the connections, understanding that a connection could be as simple as being available for a phone call. It doesn't mean engaging somebody in full-blown come here for, 6 programs, 4 days a week. It can be as simple as picking up the phone when somebody calls or making the phone call when somebody says, hey, you need to call so-and-so. I really like that answer. Just going to run through some more highlights that I had on there. There was a couple that I felt that felt a little flat for me, and it was the idea of the outreach of keeping it smaller. And I think we've been really pushing in this community the idea of expanding. Because we're such a small community, we really want to outreach bigger than Erving and be that focal point that allows people to utilize our services. When it comes to grants, you both almost had identical experience in grants. One within the last year and are looking at others. It was like identical across the board. The other piece, Dulcie had a great idea about when talking about engagement, the open house meetings and getting that meet and greet of like, come on in and give me your ideas in person. What's working, what's not working. Not the systematic thing that we like to do a lot, which is like Survey Monkey, send it out and let people answer them, which, you get 6% return and you're like, yes, it was an amazing survey with 6% returned. Getting people in here to like, come on in, have some light refreshments, let's chat, let me tell you about what we offer, let me ask you the questions. I really like that answer. Both of them had really unique follow-up questions from Dulce, it was about the training, the professional development, and collaboration. It really highlighted the desire to learn more, to collaborate more, and grow into a position. And the question about the distinction between the senior and the community center portion and how that plays out was fantastic. So I say all that to sort of highlight, those were some of the thoughts I had. It makes it a very difficult decision, one way or the other. And I really, knowing that I'm stepping off the board in a few days and I don't want to drag this out over beyond tonight and days and days and days, I am leaning to go with Dulce. And the reason I'm doing that is taking in all the consideration of the things that people bring to this position, the hands-on experience of knowing the patrons, knowing the families, knowing the people, to me outweighed the need to learn the administrative piece of it. I think that's teachable much faster than the grind of learning the patrons and learning, because that's a grind. That is not an easy task. It takes time and energy to really go out, and I think we have somebody in-house that could do that. Does that mean that both candidates will come in with their own expertise and they'll excel at certain things and they'll have to learn other things? I think excelling in that one gives a leg up, in my opinion. So that's where I'm leaning right now. I'm going to wait to hear from you all and see where we end up at the end of the evening.
Well, for me, I think you hit on some of the key areas that I had noted as well. I think that the question around conflict resolution probably didn't quite hit the mark for me on Tracy's response. A little better on Dulcie's. When I look at experience as a director from a hit the ground running, because we have a vacancy imminently, and needing to be able to continue to, or wanting, need and want to continue to operate the center day one with some level of autonomy. There's a lot of learning, right? It's new and all that, but just from how to get through the core, basic things that you have to do day to day. I think the long director experience that Tracy brings helps with that. When we look back at the profile and the job description and some of the requirements, education, Dulcie has a bachelor's, arguably maybe not directly related, but at least formal secondary completed. So I kind of say those just to bring up a couple more that are on both sides. There's some pros and cons. Obviously, meal programs is something that we've all spoke very strongly about wanting to find a way to bring back and maybe better than it ever was if possible. So I think those are pros for both. But yeah, it's I think the one thing that I would question or at least puts a question mark on for me is there is some ability to learn on the job, but there's some need to be able to operate independently on day one. And
Fair point.
the capacity to assist to whatever degree may be needed from day one in learning that on the job, I am not confident we have a lot of bandwidth for that. I'm not saying we don't have any. There's always going to be some with a new employee no matter what, especially at a department head level. But that is a concern. And I'm not to bring Brian into it, but we always can if we want. Where is that going to fall to some degree? And what capacity do we have? And I don't know that we will. I won't get into that. I was a little surprised, I guess, maybe, and gave me pause, but it's not a question to be answered by the candidates to programming on pause when I heard that. And to what level, has Dulcie been exposed to all of the different facets of the director level workload and day-to-day function by our current director? I can't speak to that. I don't know if you have insight to that may bring some level of confidence or clarity or comfort to where are we day one or week two, because we're not far away. I believe our current director is mid-July.
July 18th.
18th, yeah. So there's not a lot of overlap time for cross-training, which is unfortunate, but it's where we are. So
if it's not a hypothetical question that you're asking me,
no, unfortunately,
my straightforward
might have said
answer
it that
is,
way, but
no, I can't really responsibly answer that question. I haven't had a lot shared with me. There was some conversation in the early committee meetings about skills and were people really ready to hit the ground running. One of the things we were really looking for, and in a less than direct way, the answer in the candidate pool was not sure that any of them can turn the key and hit the ground running. So I would have to take that
that's fair.
for what it is, as a no. meaning,
But that's anyone.
right,
It's any of the pool.
right, any of the
Okay.
pool, which,
That's fair.
to,
That's fair.
in a roundabout way to answer your question, it would be from the feedback and information I have, no, those skills haven't been transferred or allowed.
Got it.
So, I guess to elaborate, which I didn't really do in the first go-around, you know, I love Dulcie's energy, and you know, coming out of the gate, and obviously with the familiarity has the advantage. And in the qualitative response, the greatest paycheck you can get comment.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know that if we're talking about Thelma and moments, I don't know that I will ever forget that comment, regardless of how this decision goes.
Yeah.
That tells me qualitatively how passionate Tracy is about her vocation, because to me it clearly is not a job. In terms of the essential functions of the job in the description, there was a lot that was clearly matched, and closely matched, rather. In terms of abilities to assess an individual's issues or concerns with care and empathy, when I think of the two candidates, I would have to say, and not that Dulcie doesn't have this ability, but it wasn't really reflected clearly in a developed way in the answers that she gave, whereas several times Tracy sort of hit on that vein with me, with the empathy and meeting people where they're at. I was somewhat, and I'm going to be candid, and I'm sorry if this sounds like the tough love that my children appreciated so much through the years, but given the amount of information that was shared in the community profile, in the job description, what's been available, I was a little concerned about, lack of full knowledge of what capacity this facility has. And I had a lot of caution with your answer about food insecurities. You sort of redeemed yourself with the question you asked of us, because that showed, while you didn't have the information or you didn't take advantage of getting the information leading up, you have a vision of what you'd like to do if the resources were there. And I'm also glad when you talked about the Orange Armory blowing up, it was in a positive way. So it was the program, not the armory. I'm too familiar with commercial kitchens that are struggling. So again, we're very close in terms of that experience that's transferable. I'm currently, and we don't often disagree, and I don't think we're far apart, Scott, but as you said, you're leaning with Dulcie right now. I have to say I've given a slight edge to Tracy.
I heard the passion too, for sure, from Tracy. I heard some in the interest and, want to connect with and help seniors, the community, and engage on what they need and what they want for programming, which was a connection piece that was similarly aligned. I think for me, and it speaks a little bit to what you just noted about, is the answers were, some of the answers are more well developed from Dulcie, even if I adjust down some for the fact that as a current employee, there's some, knowledge that's just not easily gained coming into an interview. Even if I adjust for that, I still felt like some of those answers were more well developed. I share the sentiment that we want to try to make a decision and take action rather than continue this if possible. But I also share it's not a simple decision, and there's a lot of factors to weigh between the two candidates and also between where the situation we're in, which is not a reason to make a decision if we're not ready to, but that's a whole lot not to say one way or another that I'm going to tie break or push in one direction or the other here. While they are very close, I lean a little more towards Dulcie from the overall picture, from resume, experience, or background, experience, answers, etc. I'm still concerned about the capacity to support some of the learnings day one that may be needed. Again, I don't know, and I'm judging this from here. We're not here every day to say what level of experience and ability to jump into that there will be. I can't say for sure. And the caveat that, or the concern that Dulcie's position today that she holds for us is a support to the new director in theory. Dulcie won't have that benefit. She'll also be hiring for her replacement. And that's not a reason not to. I'm not saying absolutely not a reason not to select Dulcie, but it's just something to be aware of.
I hope everybody can feel the angst that we all have about making a decision. Because the screening committee did not make it easy on us and sending, we really wanted them to send somebody, just send us one that's really good and just somebody else. And they did not do that. They sent us really good candidates, so it does not make an easy decision.
Some small part of me goes, would it have been easier or worse with three? But
yeah, oh yeah,
I think we almost had three, so
we almost had
know.
three. Yeah,
But
agreed. So, if you hear the gears turning, and it's just us trying to really figure it out on the fly, and
make the best decision for the community, right?
there might be some pauses and silences while we internalize our thoughts. Brian, can I lean on you for some clarity? Have you had any conversations with? I'm going to back that question out and start with a different one. The resources available.
You're not mic'd, are you?
No.
You get to be the.
Yeah, he got the camera on you, but not the mic. So you get to be in the hot seat now.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the town of Erving. We'd like to have a conversation.
Welcome to the interviews.
Let's have this conversation.
It's the capacity piece.
Yes.
Outside, in the capacity not on the candidate side, but the capacity on the town side to aid in the transition. Regardless of candidate, there's going to be a capacity that is, shifted to assist in a transition, whether that transition takes 3 weeks or 3 months or 6 months. There's going to be a transition period that's going to take some time. How do you see that playing out? And have you, the one I was going to ask before was, have you had any conversations with the outgoing director about what that long-term support looks like beyond July 18th? And I'm going to leave it at that.
So I'll start with the last question. No, I have not discussed
Fair
with
enough.
the outgoing director ongoing support beyond July 18th. The original goal had been to have a longer period of overlap,
Correct,
and
yeah.
you've all acknowledged we're currently up against the timeline that we're against. In terms of capacity, I mean, you're well versed in where we are with hiring, and
Yeah.
we have 3 department head level positions that are changing over at this time. So we are actively potentially supporting 3 different departments with department head changeover. It's just the situation that the town finds itself in. So it would be, regardless, for all 3 departments, including this one, it would be a responsibility of my office to provide ongoing training and support, along with the financial team for all the personnel related and financial pieces. We'll be closing a fiscal year, which the current director will be helping us do. And hopefully that should all be rectified. I did have that conversation with her today before she left the office, before July 15th. And then we'll be launching the new fiscal year. So in some ways, there won't be the burden of having to take care of grants or close out any expenditures from FY25.
Okay.
We'll be able to start with a brand new set of books. But there will be training for whomever you hire for those pieces. So that will fall on me and the finance team.
Okay.
I was going to ask you a similar question, and still not fully answered maybe, but if you had to quantify it, do you have something in mind that you would kind of earmarked as, the amount of time a week or that you plan to have dedicated to this, regardless of the candidate?
Because
Because
conversation about something completely different.
because regardless of the candidate, you're right. We have multiple department heads, and there's an amount of time, and it will ebb and flow. But there's an amount of time that you've, I would assume, probably at least thought to earmark towards what that will need for support.
The hope is that obviously week 1 with whomever is going to be more intense. But as we progress, the goal would be, a couple hours each week that could be, towards either the beginning or the end of the week or as necessary to be able to spend time with whomever you hire as the director to ensure that their transition is smooth, they have the support that they need, with the goal that that's going to reduce over time. Obviously, as Selectman Loing pointed out, he's the current liaison. I don't know what you'll choose for a liaison structure on July 7th, but working with whomever the liaison is to the department to make sure that the new director has access both to myself and that individual, to make sure that we can address whatever those needs are. But the goal is that, yes, within the foreseeable future, we're up and running and there's more autonomy in the department. So yes, the goal is that this hire will happen. There will be a sustained initial effort of launching this position and making sure that the person has the support they need, and then transitioning into the normal roles and the check-ins with department heads that we have, the monthly check-ins, the quarterly staff meetings, the quarterly safety committee meetings, all the things you talked about, as we gear up towards budget season. And then those other departments will also need that same level of support. So as one wanes off, the next one will launch.
And really, my question more limited to like the 30, 60, 90. So I think you covered what, at least from a kind of what have you thought and earmarked. It's really around that.
Yeah.
other question I have for you is, there's a lot of outcomes that could come out of this. We could take no action, we could delay, we could whatever. We could restart. There's all kinds of versions of it.
Mhm.
Not suggesting we want any of those, but almost anything we do will beyond a decision tonight and a successful onboarding of a candidate by July 18th. What does that look like after July 18th if we have not?
Well, I told you my version of things and you didn't like that.
I believe on your way out I said no.
You did say no.
But I mean in reality,
Yeah.
like if nothing changed today
Mhm.
and now it's July 18th, you operating the center as part of your duties is a no-go, obviously.
Right.
And I know I'm putting you in the hot seat, but
Yeah, whose
what-
interview was this?
He's like, I didn't prepare for this.
Exactly.
We didn't give you questions ahead of
No,
time.
I had no. There was no preparation.
You're good on your feet. But just in all practicality and very succinctly, what does that look like? Is that a couple days a week with the support staff we have today? Hopefully we can open and do some things, but we're not full-time. I mean, what do you envision that might be? If
I
we
think
had
it
to?
depends. I think if you are needing just more time with the existing pool and you need some time to reflect and that maybe delays an announcement or decision, then I think if we just have to make a few days or a week work while we're trying to close a gap, then that's something that we would easily be able to support and try to maintain services to the best of our ability. If it was longer than that, if you started to talk about relaunching searches or anything like that, I do think we'd have to have a conversation about a modified offer of services here. I don't think it would be sustainable with the interim staff. I don't think that's a reasonable expectation. And then I think the plan C, if you would, if you really needed a much longer runway, I think we'd have to have a conversation about an interim director appointment
I got you.
to give you at least some additional capacity while you
Some
continue your work.
continuity without our beyond our current staff.
Correct.
Okay. Which are all things that we ultimately have to decide, not you. So thank you for giving us options, which
Yes.
is really what I was looking for.
Yes.
Other questions for Brian before we let him leave the hot seat?
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I have no questions for you. Unless you need more resources from me, I'm happy to get you whatever you need. But I guess I would just offer if you need time to reflect, yes, I would like a decision soon if you all could help me with that. But I think we all would like a decision soon. But I think you all do have a difficult decision to make, and I respect the fact that if you need time, I would encourage you to take that time. So,
Appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you.
Figured that was his question. Are you going to make a decision tonight? One more question. You don't have to get up.
Okay. Stop at the camera. Yes.
Unless we choose to remove it, the probationary period applies regardless of the candidate. Correct?
Oh, I understand your question. Yes, you.
That was not well framed, but yes. Should we choose to make an offer, unless we remove the conditions, probationary period still applies regardless of whether it's a current employee or a new employee.
Change of position.
Because of the change in position.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Reform that question better.
And the other question, on or before date, if a decision was made, how much time from a decision made and an offer do you need to conduct the medical,
Appropriate
the
screening.
CORI, just all of the required stuff? Just given the timeline, I'm
Yeah.
wondering how,
Well, assuming it's tonight,
Yep.
on or before July 18th, or do you need more time?
I could make July 18th happen.
not July 1st?
July 1st should be a big
On or before.
the challenge that we experienced earlier this year
Goodness.
was with the medical screening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only piece. The rest of it is internal. We
Yeah.
can do that quickly.
They were
Yeah.
booking about 2 to 3 weeks out, but the rest of it
Fantastic.
I did do in-house, so that I can.
Okay. So, I don't know what that was. Sure.
Continue if you're going somewhere with that or not.
Uh,
I'm not sure. What about the? What about the 14th? Assuming you can do medical, obviously that would be the caveat. But what about July 14th?
I think the honor before works.
Touche. I just said the same thing.
You just said the same thing. I'm just going to parrot it right back to you. I didn't even look at the calendar.
The 14th is the Monday. The 18th is the Friday. That's why I asked.
Oh yeah, I see what you.
At least a
I
week.
see what you did there.
At least a week.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
No, I looked at,
And I know
Um,
there's, at the end of the day, we're going to put this on there, and if it can't get completed by then, it doesn't make it null and void. It just means we don't get it done as quick as we want. I mean, we can adjust if we have to, obviously.
I'll take your lead, whatever you're looking for. Looking for closure tonight? You looking to move it to another day? What are you looking for?
I don't think waiting, for me, I don't think digesting it for another day or 3 or 4 is going to end up with a clearer distinction or a different answer for me.
I think either one of them are going to be one of this, and it's right there. So it's,
Well, and I'm just saying, I just don't think that. I mean, if either of you feel like it
no.
would potentially change or be helpful to, I have no problem with us coming back on Monday, the 30th, to do that. But for me, I don't think it will make a difference.
Okay.
You?
I'll go back to my first point. We have an envious problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe I will soften the landing for us by saying, I don't think we can lose.
Correct.
That's fair. I agree.
And I was also going to address both candidates and say, again, I thank you both for applying, highlighting some areas that we have to look at in ensuring that we offer the best services in our town and how we offer that. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Dulcie McAndrews to the Director of Senior Services position at a starting pay rate of grade F, step 1, which I believe with our new 2026 is $35.16. Regularly scheduled for 40 hours a week with a 1-year probationary period pending a pre-employment medical screening and Corey check with a start date on or before, I'm going to hold him to the 14th, July 14th, 2025.
I will second that motion.
And now that it's back open on the floor, I'm going to reiterate again. Thank you both very much. It was a great conversation from both of you. Highlights on attributes, on things that we get to work on things that I didn't even think about were lacking or missing. It was a great conversation, and I thank you both.
And I commend you both for not making this easy.
Yeah.
Good problem to have, as you said, Jim. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Brian, you'll finish
Thank
up.
you.
You'll follow up with everything else? Okay.
Nice to meet you. Really enjoyed listening to your.
So,
Thank you very much.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No other business?
No other.
Well, I just want to make sure there's
Bus-
nothing else related to this. I know there's nothing else outside of the hiring,
Yeah,
but nothing
I
else
don't
related to
believe there's
this.
anything else to this. Brian will take care of the rest in terms of the formal work.
Right,
here.
yeah.
No, I believe we are good. We have special town meeting in terms of this business.
Correct. We're
At
good
this
for this.
point.
Tomorrow we're back
Other
here
business,
again.
we're back swearing in at 6.
6 p.m. here. Yeah.
7 p.m. is a special town meeting.
Yep.
I will confirm tomorrow because we are almost out of calendar, but I don't believe we will need to have a meeting on the 30th. So
I'll
I
give you my
believe
key now.
tomorrow night is the last obligation that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
that
no,
we need
that's
you
fine.
for.
And I meant it when I said
your
if you
last
really
day.
wanted
I
to
know.
postpone it
Oh,
till
I
next
know.
Monday,
I
I
know you
would
are.
be here next Monday. It's not a problem. I say it in jest,
understand that.
really. You know,
I know.
it's
I
fine.
know. So with that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Dang, you two didn't make it easy.